Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lori Davis, and you're listening to the Dr. Lori Davis Show here on E360 TV, streaming live right now on Self-Worth the Missing Link Superstars, and also on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go in there and listen, you just Google in Lori Davis Show Host. And today I'm so excited to have my co-host with me, Virginia Clark. And welcome to the show, Virginia, because you and I are going to do this together. You're not a guest. We are going to support others with some ideas on how to get out of a funk. Over to you, Virginia. What's your definition of a funk? That almost is the F word, with a letter change. But anyway, over to you, Virginia.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to start off by saying, again, it's windy here where I'm at. So if you lose me, I'm still here. My definition of a funk, you're just not feeling yourself. You may not know why. You may not know what, but you don't feel the same. You just don't feel yourself. That's my definition of a funk. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good definition. And mine is when I get overwhelmed, if you will, with maybe so many things on the table, I just decide to do nothing. And then I find myself in what we call a funk. So it's really about feeling stuck. And I agree with Virginia. You just don't feel like you can do much or accomplish much. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, Virginia, but in your lifetime, how many funks do you think we've been in?
Oh, my goodness.
Could we count?
Way more than I have fingers and toes, I'm sure. From small to the age we are now. I mean, everybody goes through a funk, right? It's not just a certain age or certain group. We all go through funks. We just way too many to count.
Well, at my age, you can only imagine even more. But I know that children experience that too. I remember,
Absolutely.
teaching school and I'd have this little bright, vivacious person, and then all of a sudden they show up to class and I hardly recognize them because they're just shut down or they're confused so a funk is when things aren't going the way you want them to go, right? Things aren't working out that you had planned, right? So today, Virginia and I are going to share at least 10 ways to help yourself get out of there as quickly as possible because we don't like feeling badly. But before we do that, I want to start off with just a few announcements. And the first one is, if you have a story to tell, if you have had something happen to you or that you're working on, that you're comfortable talking about, we'd love to hear from you because we're always interested and willing to tell your story. So just contact us here. Here's my number if you want to be on the show. So that's my first announcement. And then I'm really excited because on May 15th, Virginia and I are hosting a public event called Evaluating My Worthiness for Success. And everyone is welcome. It's complimentary. It's 9:00 in the morning. What a great way to start off your week on May 15th. And if you would like to attend that workshop, then we would ask that you register by emailing Virginia at assistant@theloridaviссhow@gmail.com. And then we have your email information in order to send a link. So this is really important. And you can contact Virginia directly if you wish. If she says something really cool today and you go, I want to talk more to that person, then here's how you get a hold of Virginia. So today we're featuring 10 ways to get out of a funk. All right. Okay, well, let's go back and forth, Virginia, and I'll start with you. And why don't you go first? And what's one of the items on your list that would support people in getting out of that place where they're feeling really overwhelmed, they're really feeling stuck, Over to you.
The first thing on my list is just accept that you're in a funk and forgive yourself. It's okay. We all go through funks. So that's the first thing on my list is understand that I'm in a funk, forgive myself, and then move on. So,
yeah, acceptance.
yeah.
Instead of trying to pretend that I'm not, and I have to have this face on to impress other people. When I'm in a funk, I don't do a show. Sometimes I'll say to my viewers, I'll say to our viewers, recorded show today. Well, that might be because I'm in a funk, right? And I give myself permission. So that's what you're saying, I think. Give yourself permission, right? To be in there. Mm-hmm. And if you have anything to say about what I say, Virginia, please feel free to jump in. And you know what was number one on my list? I said it the same thing, but I said it differently. Allow it. Allow yourself. Give yourself permission. That was my number one too. I love it. We're on the same page. Just be okay with it. All right. Virginia, over to you for a number two. What have you got?
And number two, just remember that you're amazing. Allow yourself to be in that funk, but also remember that you are amazing. That's my number two.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I didn't think of that. I'm going to have to write that one down. Remembering that we're special and that we're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
When I look back on my life and I think about, like, I had little baby funks, but then I had big funks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So continuing to love myself became really important. It's how I was able to, ride the wave, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
My number two is paint your toenails.
Good one.
Do something crazy, like paint your toenails. Do something that you love. If you love to take pictures, this is a good time to go take pictures because one great picture could take you out of there. If you love to cook, go make a pan of muffins. And it's like, okay, like my kitchen is my happy place. And when I go into my kitchen and I think, okay, and Ron will come out and he'll say, so what are you building? And I'll say, well, I'm building some chocolate banana bran muffins. And doing something like that, something that you love that's creative. Maybe you're an artist and you want to paint or you want to build something like Virginia. She has this beautiful woodworking art that she does. Let's talk about that. Would that help you get out of a funk when you go to do your wood art?
Absolutely. It's on my list is to be creative.
Oh,
yeah,
my goodness.
if you see, we probably have the same kind of list here. Just get out and I love working with my hands, so it just gives me, a different way to look at things, put those, beautiful ideas you have in your mind, put them down and try and create something from that. So, and it just gets your mind off of, whatever's going on, until you figure out why you're in your funk, just gives you that little bit of a distraction. So yes, be creative.
And let's talk a little bit before we give out any more tips. What is it that, I'll ask you, Virginia, what is it that puts you in a funk? And then you can ask me the same question and I'll share. So what gets us into a funk to start with?
For me, sometimes I just wake up and it's almost like they say, did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Yeah, just wake up that way. Maybe I had a bad sleep, bad dreams. Sometimes, other times there's things happening in life. I think, if it's just one hard thing after another, then it's easy to get into that funk as well. And, you know, it's just those outside influences, I guess we could say, in your world that can also cause a funk. You know, maybe your job's not going well, or you're having a spat with your husband or wife or children. You know, teens always seem to just always be in a funk. So, yeah, just there's so many different things, but the whole thing is just to, you know, to accept it and just work through it.
And you would know about the teen thing because you got a teenage son. So, you know, I hear you.
Yes.
So I get in a funk when I'm one of those people, and this is not a good thing. I've worked really hard at this, is being too hard on myself. You know, creating expectations that were unrealistic, or having expectations of others that they can't deliver. And that gets me in a funk, going, oh my gosh, like I really thought I expected more of somebody and they didn't deliver. I don't do that anymore, but that was one of my big deals, was that I couldn't possibly, you know, function if that person didn't do this or didn't do that. I'm happy to say I'm past that now, but that was a big, huge issue for me, is being disappointed when other people didn't live up to my expectations. And then I'd get in a really bad way. And then I would even say mean things and lash out. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Don't forget to unmute. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay. Being let down is, you know, it's one of the hardest things I think in life to deal with as well. You know, and you could be let down by anyone around you. That's the thing. I mean, you know, you could be waiting in line for coffee and you have to wait extra time. You feel like you're let down.
Yeah.
But I mean, the
Yeah.
only, you know, when we think of those things, I mean, the only thing we can control is our response to that. So, you know, going forward, you know, we can choose to smile or we can choose to frown.
Mhm. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, the next thing on my list is, if I'm in a funk, I find a really funny movie that is going to force me to laugh, because it's hard to be in a funk and in a happy place at the same time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I start laughing, and then all of a sudden I go, okay, so what is my problem really? And I see the humor in that. So that's one of my suggestions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was on my list as well. But I'm going to go with, yeah, play some good music.
Oh, I
Play
didn't
some
have that.
music that's going to get you moving, get you rocking. If you need to play some go, whatever you love, just put that music on, crank it loud, and just let it take your funk away.
I never thought of that. And I love music. And I
Yes.
love all different kinds of music. You know, sometimes I want the easy listening, calm me down kind of music. And sometimes I want the old time rock and roll. And sometimes I want Bachman Turner Overdrive, taking care of business. You know, so I have
Mm-hmm.
all different, and I love country. So I have all different genres that I could go to. I love that. I hadn't thought of that either.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. If I've had a busy day or an overly stressful day at work, I'll come home, my music will be cranked. And my husband said to me the one day, I could hear you coming home before I saw the car.
Oh my goodness. Before you even got in the yard. Yes, I
Yeah.
love it. Hmm.
So, you know, sometimes you just have to have that out, right? It's such an out. Music is such a beautiful thing to, you know, use with your emotions and utilize. I mean, that's why it's there. We love music. Yeah.
That's right. It's what separates us from the animals, actually. All right. Well, we're just going to take a little break here so we can advertise some of what things that are coming up. And first of all, if you missed the show live, you can always get the show. It's archived and recorded on E360 TV. You just go in and you search the Dr. Laurie Davis Show, and there we are. And our next little commercial is, do you have a story to tell? So just contact me directly and we can set you up and have you on the show, because everybody has a story and no one is exempt. And just this morning, one of my colleagues was reminding me that she was at an event and she was sitting next to a lady whom I know, actually. And she said to her, you should write a book. And her lady friend said, oh, I haven't got anything to tell. I don't have a story. And then within the next half hour, she was sharing her whole life with my friend here. And my friend looked at her and said, yeah, you've got a book, all right. You've got more than one book. So we all have stories. So if you have a story that needs to get out there or a message, let me know. And then our next ad is on May 15th. Virginia and I are doing a complimentary event at 9 a.m. Pacific time, evaluating my worthiness for success. And it's complimentary. And if you want to attend that event, then you need to contact this email, assistant.thelaurie-davis-show@gmail.com. And the other thing that we put out the other day, if you would like to have your business and your products and your programs and services announced on our show, then we put that ticker up and we run that all through the show. Are you ready? $25. And the thing is, when you put that up there, it's not just the show as we're broadcasting right now. That is archived. And if somebody goes in 6 months from now and wants to watch this show, they see your ad. So is that not like a beautiful way to get yourself out there? And up until now, I haven't put that out there because I wanted to build the credibility. We now have about 150 shows in the can, we call it in broadcasting, in the can. And who knows? Once something's on the internet, we don't know where it goes. Virginia, do you think that's a heck of a deal for a small business owner or a business owner? And you might want to do it for one show, you might want to do it for 10 shows, but we just think it's a great opportunity. And I wouldn't offer that initially because we didn't have the history and the credibility right now. But we have it now. So what do you think, Virginia? Is that a good idea? We can't see you, but
yeah, that's a great form of advertising. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm back.
Yes, you are.
Yes, that's a great form.
That's a heck of a deal. All right. What else is on your list? You have another one. 10 ways to get out of a funk.
Okay. Fresh air, although the hurricane force winds that have been around us lately might blow you away. But yes, get out and get some fresh air, take a walk in nature.
Absolutely. I just said go for a walk.
Yeah.
Go for a walk and get outdoors. And what is that saying? Motion takes care of emotion. So if I'm feeling a little under the weather or I'm feeling kind of down, get moving, which then leads to, I didn't put listen to music, but I put dancing. Crank up your tunes and dance. Even if you're by yourself, just get naked and dance. And that's a great way to get out of a funk. Exactly. All right. Another thing I'd like to recommend, and you can spin off on this one, Virginia, is I like to journal what's going on and how it's making me feel. So that helps me to understand where's the funk coming from. So if I have all kinds of notebooks and journals, and I just grab one and I go, okay, this is what's just happened, and you write it down in old fashioned, not on your computer, old fashioned, right, handwriting. What just happened here? And then how am I feeling about it? And if you write it out, it's so healing. What do you think about that, Virginia? What do you know about that?
Oh, absolutely agree, guys. I had journal and meditate on my list as well, um, because those things just it almost quiets your mind in a sense, so you can sit down and figure out, okay, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? If you're meditating as well, you can have those thoughts and think, okay, where is this coming from? What's going on. So yeah, getting those words out, maybe you can't speak them, maybe you have a hard time talking to people, but absolutely, if you can write them down and get them out, that's going to be so much helpful for that funk to figure out, okay, exactly like you said, Lori, what's going on, why am I feeling, what happened, to make me feel this way. And yeah, and then it gives you a clear picture of, especially if a funk is something that you continually fall into, you got a clearer picture of, okay, this situation, this is how I know I'm going to respond. I need to do something different to, when those situations arise for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, over to you. Did you have something else on your list?
Absolutely. Along the same line of journaling, meditating, I have just breathe. Just breathe. Take some deep breaths in, pause for a minute and just breathe. Yeah.
I love that. It's research has shown that women are what we call shallow breathers. So we kind of breathe like rather than because when you breathe like that, and I do that when I'm walking my dog in the morning, I take my deep breaths at that time, and I count up. I count 10. So I just kind of put my finger on my nostril and I go, hold it, and then, and of course that increases the flow of oxygen in the bloodstream, and that's what we need to heal, is lots of oxygen in our system. So, and now, don't you love it? Across the street from me is this big park and huge trees, and the leaves are coming out, and pretty soon that oxygen level is going to go up, 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 because we've been inside all winter here in the Great Northwest. Even though right now we're having warmer temperatures in California, I have to say, I have to brag about that. But that deep breathing is really important.
Yes.
Because that extra oxygen sends serotonin to the brain, right? And it flows the endorphins, and we're traditionally shallow breathers. We just breathe a little bit. We don't really exercise our lungs. Cool. All right. Did you have another one?
Well, actually, to spin off what you said when you're walking your dog, hang out with your pet.
Oh.
Sometimes, we have 3 cats in the house. Yeah. And sometimes they can get up to some pretty crazy antics where you can't help but laugh or smile, or, just to have them snuggle with you. And I find the purring so relaxing. So yeah, hang out with your pet. That's on my list too. Yep.
Yeah, and this would be a good time to hang out with your little kids, because children have a way of demanding that we get out of that funk. And by the way they respond to things and jumping up and down and having fun, and just, you know what, just invite a few little kids over for an afternoon. That'll get you out of your funk. It soon won't seem so drastic or so scary, right? Yeah. Last night I was on the couch and my dog came up and he put his head on my lap and he just wanted to be snuggled. But I benefited more than he did. I know it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So healing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are so
And by the
healing,
way,
aren't they?
every
Yes.
woman wants a warm body nestled up against her. Well, we have to have a little fun here, like, okay, if it's not
Oh my
him,
goodness.
well, it's be my dog.
Absolutely. One way or another.
One way or
Today.
another. That's right. That's right. Sometimes too, what I do is just, and this is about being outside, but like this time of year, especially with spring around the corner. Well, our spring is here, but just sitting outside, not for a long time, but just sitting outside in the sun for 10 minutes and get that vitamin D rolling. And once we've been in all winter, we can get into, for some people, that's just not a good thing. So lately at lunchtime, when I take my lunch break, the sun is on the back deck and I just sit there with my head back and close my eyes. And that heat feels so great.
Mhm.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
I try and get out quite often during the day as well. But again, with the pets, we have a puppy, so she needs to go out. So you get out.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
And Pride will come over to me with the big brown eyes and be blinking and talking to me, which means time for you to get out. Not time for him to get out, time for me to get out. Sometimes they're smarter than we are, right?
Sometimes,
I love it.
yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Now, something else that I do, and maybe you have something else on your list too, but I believe in power naps. And I believe that sometimes we run ourselves way too long, way too hard. And, research has shown, and I had to train myself to do this, Virginia, because there was a time when I couldn't sleep, I thought, during the day. Okay. Well, I'm not talking about being in bed all day. I'm just talking about, you know what? Just lay down for a half an hour, even if you don't sleep, just that. And that recharges our batteries. And so I became a big practicer of power naps. I call them power naps. And they can be 20 minutes, but probably shouldn't be more than an hour. There's a time limit on that. So 20 minutes to an hour when you just lay down in a quiet place, no TV, no, turn your phone off, and just close your eyes. You don't have to go to sleep, just relax. So I make sure that I do that at least 3 or 4 times a week. I don't do it every day because I don't feel the need to, but when I do that, oh my gosh, I just have so much energy to do more. What are your thoughts on that? A power nap?
Oh, that's a great idea. That power nap. I might have to.
And the other thing is, when I first started doing that, I felt guilty because I thought I should be doing something. Oh my gosh, I've got so much on my plate. I should be emailing. I should be doing laundry. I should be cooking something. I hardly could do it without feeling guilty. But then I gave up the guilt. And once I did that, I really benefited from my power naps.
Yeah.
Because I think we as women have this idea that we have to be managing the universe. And when I gave up managing the universe, life got a lot simpler. Exactly. Anything more on that you'd like to share? And then I'm going to practice doing my commercials because we are going to have sponsors on the show. I need to break every 15 minutes to share our commercials. So the next one I want to share is on May 15th. Virginia and I are hosting a complimentary event. It's open to the public. Evaluating my worthiness for success. And if you would like to participate in that and be there with us, it's happening at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I believe that's a Monday morning. What a great way to start off your week. then you just contact us at assistant.theloridavisshow@gmail.com, and we'll get you registered so we have your link to send to you the day of the event. And there's no money involved. It's just come and spend an hour with us and see what part of you is maybe holding you up. All right. And also, if you have a story to tell, I really want to speak with you, because everybody has a story. And maybe you're not ready to go public with your story, but I can help you to do that because of the format of the show. It's very easy and comfortable. And if you'd like to be on the show, you can contact me directly or text 780-566-2340. And also, I didn't put it up on a banner, but maybe while you're talking, I will create another banner, Virginia, to promote something that I know you're passionate about offering. Okay, so let me do that. All right, what else have you got there, girl? Have you got something else on your list?
Okay. I absolutely do. Call a friend. If I'm feeling down, I always call my mom, and yes, I don't know, she just always helps me see things in a different way. So yes, call a friend, call someone who, get you out of that funk. They'll help you. So yeah, that's, call a friend.
So how do I qualify, or how do I know who I can feel safe speaking with? What kind of things do I need to figure out before I actually call that friend? What kind of friend? Because, there's a big risk in sharing our stuff. We might share it with somebody who's going to gossip about it or who's going to spread it around. So what are some things you would advise us to look for when it comes to finding that friend, or who is that?
If you're looking at a friend, yes, absolutely. Someone who has your back no matter what. They've seen you at your worst, they've seen you at your best, and they celebrate you no matter what. That's the kind of person you're going to want to talk to. For me, like I said, it's my mom. My mom has my back no matter what. She celebrates everything with me. And she's the one, if I'm feeling down in a funk, that I reach out to first. And she always has something beautiful to say and always brings me up out of my funk. But yes, if you're calling a friend, you're gonna want to know that person has your back. And that's one thing you have to think about, absolutely, before you just pick up the phone and call anyone. Yeah.
Cool. So here's what I put up for you, Virginia. Virginia is excited to be offering workshops in parenting and also those working on addictions. If you're struggling with addictions, or you want to get clean and sober, or any of that kind of experience that you're having, and you'd like to have an empowering environment to do that, Virginia is your girl to call. So I'm just putting that little commercial up for you. I'm practicing my commercials today. You're welcome.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
Yes. And that's one thing you're not going to want to do. Don't drink.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
If you're not happy.
Yeah. You can talk about that for sure. Yeah. Because that will put you in a big funk, right? Let's talk about that. How do addictions put people in funks? Do they help to put people in funks? We've lost her for a moment, but Virginia has a great story. Oh. Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Do addictions put people in funk?
Again.
No, you're here. We can hear you.
I don't know why. It doesn't like my camera. You can hear me?
That's all
perfect.
Right. We can hear you. Yeah.
Addictions that false sense of being okay. That's what addictions do. They don't offer anything but grief, misery. So if you're in a funk, you know, you don't want to lean towards, for me, it was alcohol. That was my go-to. But yeah, it doesn't help you. It doesn't solve anything, because when you wake up the next day feeling 10 times worse, those problems are still going to be there. Those things that cause funk are still going to be there. And the only thing else you're going to have is just a splitting headache. So for me, that was my
Oh dear.
experience. Problem's still
Yeah.
there, and now where's the aspirin? So
Now I've got a headache on top of it. Okay.
yeah, it's exactly, yeah. There's better ways. You know, anything that we've spoken about today, number one, is free. There's no cost to it. There's no charge for any of these things that you and I talked about today.
No.
You know, so it's easy to find a way around, you know, that if you are struggling with addictions, there's many ways around something that's going to be better than picking up a bottle or taking a pill or whatever your addiction is. I mean, there's more than alcohol, of course. Anything, shopping, shoes, you know, all those things are addictions too.
Yes, they are. I had
But
a few of those myself. Looking good, perfectionism, control. I had my own poisons. It wasn't drugs and alcohol at the time, but it was other stuff. Workaholic,
Yes.
shopaholic. Yeah. So there's ways to get out of your
And
funk that you think are going to help you,
exactly,
but they don't.
But they don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those
thought
just
going-
damage your self-worth.
That's right. I thought going to the mall, doing a whole bunch of shopping would help me get out of my funk. No, I had just spent a whole bunch of money on stuff that I didn't want, and I'm still feeling bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Crazy world that we live in, right?
I know.
Sometimes I just do, my next little tip is, and we can expand on this, is just, you know, water. Water is very healing. So when you drink water, when you have a hot bath, when you go and sit by the lake, or you go to the ocean, that was my go-to. When I lived in Nova Scotia and I was in my funk, I would go to Peggy's Cove and lay on those big rocks and just listen to the waves coming in and laying in the sun on those rocks. And that's when I made some of my very best decisions. So finding a place, another place that became my spiritual getaway, which was both Ron and I, was Mount St. Helens. And Mount St. Helens in 1981 blew up, okay? And it changed the whole environment, and we've been there probably 7 times. But when I go there, it makes me realize, or even when we go to the Rockies that are just in our backyard, it makes me feel like this small, and whatever I'm going through is so minimal, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, oh my, like they're so massive and big. The ocean, we mentioned this morning in our workshop. Do you really think you could, how long would it take you to empty the ocean with a teaspoon? So I guess that's all about putting things into perspective.
Yeah.
And we know from the work we do in the world, Virginia, that when people are going through stuff, why is it we feel like we're the only person in the world having that experience?
It's, in a sense, it's kind of like the woe is me, but really, you know, and not to diminish what we're going through, because everything that we go through definitely, you know, needs to be addressed. So we're not diminishing that by any stretch.
No.
But yeah, just your problems always seem so much bigger until you said you look around you or hear a news story or something that someone else has, you know, more challenging, more, you know, whatever you want to call them. I think
Totally.
it's just that self-serving kind of
Mhm.
attitude that we have, me, little old me, poor little old me.
Oh, yes, feeling sorry for myself. Well, if you think about it,
Mhm.
right now there's 8 billion
Yeah,
people on the planet, and I'm sorry to say, not one person is exempt, regardless of your background, your culture, your socioeconomic status. Everybody is going to have to deal with something. So, are we really alone? No,
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 but that's how we feel when things
no.
happen to us.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Something else on your list, Virginia? Anything we haven't talked
Something
about?
else, when you were just talking about the world, you know what? Sometimes maybe you just need to put your phone away.
Oh,
No more scrolling, no more bad news, no more, just put it away. Put it away, take some time away from, all that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, there's been a lot going on in our world in the last few years, and, it's taken its toll. It's doing a number on a lot of people. And you know what? Sometimes you just put it away, get it out of your mind, out of sight, of mind, and yeah, read a book.
yes. Um, and read, you know, I try to put my technology away on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And I'm not available Friday night. That's our date night. And I very seldom on Saturday morning. I'm not back on there. So I get at least, 15, 16 hours a week with no technology.
That's
And
good.
the best way to do it is to set a time. My clients aren't interested in being in touch with me on a Friday night anyway, and Saturday's the weekend, except my good friend and colleague here, Virginia Clark, because we can text at any time. We have that sort of ground rule, I guess. But you know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you can turn your devices off 12 to 24 hours a week, and I'm not
Hmm.
talking an hour here, an hour there. I'm talking a block of time where you
Yeah,
do not have to be on that phone or anything
exactly.
because we've
Yeah.
become extremely dependent. And mm. and
And we
sometimes,
have a rule. Oh,
mhm. No, go ahead,
we have a
Virginia.
rule in our house. When we're sitting down at the table together, no phones.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah, no
Mhm.
phones. Yeah,
I love
they
it.
go wherever, but no, when we're sitting together as a family, no phones.
Yeah, that's great. Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I could be in the best of cheer and not be in a funk and go on my phone and get into one because
Hmm.
of something I just saw on a post or I read in the news or yikes. And we're just
Yeah,
inundated right now with social media.
very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, when you're in a funk, like you said at the very beginning, just know that it's a situation.
Hmm.
It's nothing to do with you. It's a situation. And situations shift and change.
Hmm.
And a lot of times when we get in a funk, it's not even about us. It's about somebody else's bad behavior or somebody else's way that they've treated us. Or what do you think about that, Virginia?
Yeah, it makes complete sense because, like you had mentioned before, that disappointment falls in, and you're like, oh, man, I wish that, or I wish this, or and that's what other people do is up to them. It has nothing to do with you, right? The only thing we can control in our life is how we respond to those situations. So if we're going to let people put us in a funk, then we maybe need to think a little harder about, maybe I do believe you used the word for divorcing people who don't serve us, who
Mhm.
aren't going to serve us, with who we want to be, who we need to be. And, you may need to look at that aspect of life and say, okay, you know what, I need to take a break from certain people, because that's okay. You are absolutely allowed to say, "Oh, I'm not doing it."
Yeah.
So something too in the world is, are these continually bringing me down?
Mhm. Another idea I had was under the category of self-care. And a lot of women particularly feel that to take care of themselves is about being self-centered or self-absorbed or selfish, when actually we're just creating situations where we can take care of ourselves. And so for me, that might be a hot bubble bath. It might be to go get my hair done. It might be to have a pedicure, pampering myself, self care. I could be in the throes of the biggest conflict in the world and go down to my guy at the shop and just sit back in that big chair and have my feet looked after. And I come home, I forgot what it was I was in the funk about in the first place,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah,
pampering ourselves. We see a
yeah,
special pair of earrings we'd like to have, or um, in your case, I know it's a new tattoo inspires you. It's like do something for yourself, right? And so many
exactly.
of
Yeah,
us
actually,
are.
I had that on my list to put on your favorite outfit that you love and makes you feel special.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
That's beautiful. Hmm. Right on. Okay, well, before we wrap up, Virginia and I, we've got a few announcements to make. Number one, do you have a story to tell? Then you need to contact Lori directly and tell me about your story and that you'd like to be on the show. So this is how you reach out to me. This is my cell number or my text. And if you have a story to tell, or even if you have something you want to promote, like perhaps you've authored a book, or you have an upcoming event, or you're doing a special fundraiser, anything like that. Last week, we interviewed my friend Michelle and Amanda from Darkness into Light, and they have a walk coming up Saturday morning in memory of those that they've lost to suicide. A beautiful event that happens every year. So go into our archives and listen to that show. That may be something you need. You see what I'm saying? It's just all very connected. And then on May 15th, Virginia and I are going to do a workshop called Evaluating My Worthiness for Success. Everyone is welcome. It's 9 o'clock on Monday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific time, which is 10 o'clock Mountain time. And we're going to just support you with checking in as to your worthiness level as it relates to your ability to be successful. If you want, also, Virginia's excited to be offering workshops in parenting and also those working on addictions. We've got some really cool stuff to offer. We actually have a retreat that we do. So if you want more information about that, contact Virginia at onbound.bravery@gmail.com. So we have lots going on, and I'm so excited about it. And if you want to register for that May 15th event, the best way to register is to use the following email: assistant.theloridaviссhow@gmail.com. And if you would like to advertise and promote what you're doing and what you've got on the go, just let me know. And it's very cost effective, $25 for a show. You might want to book 10 shows. You might want to book, we do about 150 episodes a year. So you might want a subscription for the whole year. Who knows? Okay. So yeah, cheap, 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 cheap. Not cheap, cost effective. I don't like the word cheap, cost effective. All right. Anything else you want to share, Virginia? We're going to wrap up in the next 5 minutes or so. Do you have any other things on your list that we missed?
Mhm. I do. I have one which, last but definitely not least, is practice gratitude.
Is what?
For those things that you know, in your life, practice gratitude.
Oh, yes. That's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
When all else fails, when I get in a funk, that is probably one of the strongest components of getting out of it. Okay, do I have everything I need for today? And what am I grateful for today? Cute. Yeah, good one. Any others? Or are we good?
The last
Virginia's having a little challenge with her internet right now.
reminder that you are amazing, those positive affirmations. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, no matter how much work we do on ourselves, and I was going to say personal development, working on ourselves, regardless of how much work we do on ourselves, life is still going to hand us the lemonades, or excuse me, the lemons. And that old saying, make lemonade. Because even though we might be extremely positive and confident and we have our self-worth intact and all that good stuff, the world is still going to dish out the crap. We're still going to lose loved ones. We're still going to maybe have difficulties down the road. But you know what? We're stronger than all of that. And that's what you're saying to us, Virginia. We're amazing. We're stronger than all of it. We can do anything. You know, I taught in a very impoverished area for many years in Nova Scotia, and we had this little wooden schoolhouse. There were still people living in homes that had dirt floors. That's how poor the community was. And that little schoolhouse produced doctors and nurses and teachers and lawyers and hairstylists and business owners, right? Because we're greater than any of our circumstances. They're just circumstances, and they too will go away. Nothing's permanent. Everything is temporary. All right, over to you, Virginia. Any last words of encouragement to our audience today? And then we'll sign off for today. And I just want to thank Virginia today for being here. It just makes it fun when I have somebody to bounce things from back and forth. And so this topic came up this past week, a couple of weeks ago, actually, at one of our meetings. And we were struggling because some of our team members were in a funk. And we just we just put our agenda to one side and said, okay, what can we do to support? And so we came up with some ideas. And so I thought, why don't we just do a show about that? Because we're not alone. We're not the only ones. So Virginia, over to you. Last words of encouragement. Sorry, go ahead.
I guess I'm just going to say this too shall pass. It will. Just, accept it, work through it, and remember you're amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right. Well, you've been watching the Laurie Davis Show. And if you haven't been able to be here with us live today, you can go into Self-Worth, the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page. We should be streaming there right now. And the only thing we ask is that you share the show, because we don't know to whom you may send the show who's in a funk right now and needs to hear this information. So look at your list of contacts and friends and know who they are. You know who's in a funk right now, and send them the show to inspire and encourage them. Also, our YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host, Google that and we're there, and also an E360 TV. So thank you for being here and listening, and thank you, Virginia, again, beautiful co-host that I have, and we'll talk to everybody soon. So let's wave goodbye. Bye. Okay. Bye, everyone.